I think I want to start by thanking Mark for inviting the three of us to talk after Jennifer Gardner, who's saving the world.
Yeah.
It's a really wonderful opportunity. Actually, I'm couldn't be more excited to be here today, and every year Upfront just gets better and better. And I do have to say, Mark every year seems to top himself and find another great venue and another great group of people. And so I don't know about all of you, but we couldn't be more appreciative. And a little shout out to Mr. Suster for taking great care of us. So I know, there's all this bro talk all the time around VCs, and, you frequently hear, people referring to people going, he's a real rock star. Well, we got two real rock stars here today, and I'm sure you all know very well Alex and Drew and what has been an amazing decade as the Chainsmokers. After meeting in 2012, it took them 2 years before they had their first hit, which was the viral hit Selfie, which interestingly, a decade later, it's as big a hit today as it was then, right? Like TikTok, it's just gone.
Not as big now.
It's pretty giant.
Yeah.
So
we tried to ignore it for 10 years. And
it haunts you. It will haunt you down no matter what. Since then, their music has gone platinum 25 times. They hold the record for the most consecutive weeks in the top 10 on the Billboard charts, 68 weeks. Pretty insane. Obviously, their shelves are filled with,
That's our team right there.
There, we love those guys. Grammys and American Music Awards and Billboard Music Awards, People Choice Awards, you name it, it's all there and well earned and deserved. In 2019, they were named the most successful DJs in the world by Forbes. And despite, or maybe because of all the success, they were actually planning to just 2020 take a year off. And then COVID came along and the world took a year off. But the funny thing is that that's the place where they sort of came up with this idea, which was to launch their VC firm, Mantis. And so today I want to actually talk about both parts of their lives, both their music life and their VC life. So back in 2012, I guess I would ask the question, which is, were you actually musicians starting a band or founders starting a company? How did you think about it back then?
Yeah, I'd say it was half and half. Whether we definitely thought we were just musicians starting a band. We weren't very good musicians at the time. We're okay now. 10 years of hard work, but Alex and I met one night in New York City randomly. Alex was DJing as the Chainsmokers, and you could find them in any New York City club, in the corner DJing on a Wednesday night in Avenue or One Oak, and I was trying to become a music producer. I made really awful dance music at Syracuse, and I was facing getting a real job, and I heard that the Chainsmokers, one of the guys was going off to do his own thing, and the other guy wanted to bring in a new person, and we just met one night, and we're had a 5-minute talk about common interests, and started what would become a 10-year business the next morning.
So in this politically correct world here, how did the Chainsmokers strike you as a good name for a
That's all Alex.
Really in hindsight, I didn't imagine it turning into this at all. It was just kind of like a placeholder. I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes and
just cigarettes, right?
No. And it was just like, whatever, we just need to put a name on the flyer, who cares? It really, honestly, didn't think of it all. But like, actually, funny enough, like, to your point, along the way, I can't tell you how many people were like, you're never going to make it if this is your name. Like, you're not going to get parties and corporate events and charity things and all these things, and we were just like, well, it's too late. Like, we're rocking with this thing. And we played like 5 or 6 lung cancer events in charity. I'm not even kidding you.
Good irony there.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess it's just proof, if you just kind of work hard enough and build something special, the name becomes whatever.
So I mean, the thing I'm fascinated is that these guys have had years, in particularly early years, where they'd actually do 150 dates in a year. So just think about that. It's pretty much every other day doing that. And just how hard is that, and how much fun is the sex and rock and roll and drugs and all of that? Like, how cool is that stuff?
Do you want to take this?
No, you got this.
It's an amazing life. And we're very fortunate to be doing the things that we do and love the things we do. But, I think when we started Chainsmokers 10 years ago, like there was like a serious conversation about like how hard we wanted to work and how far we wanted to take this. And, I think one thing we've done really well along the way up through, 1,000+ shows at this point is, we saw all these events as relationship building opportunities where, whether we were playing a dueling piano bar in Missouri, or a frat party somewhere, or a wedding or a festival, everyone we met along the way was an opportunity to build a relationship in hopes of, really unknowingly seeing where it goes in the future. And all these people kind of the sum of all of our parts, and it kind of really helped us in different ways. So, we've had a hell of a good time. There's many, many crazy, crazy stories, but,
Any that you can share in mixed company or no? No, okay.
Yeah.
So
I have a good hair story if you want to hear a hair story. Yeah, why not? So, okay, everyone asks, everywhere we go, people just ask what's like the craziest fan story that you have. And, when you get asked questions like that, your brain kind of zaps and it's really hard to remember anything specific. But in one case, I thought long and hard about what this story was. And we played a show in this place called Trevino, Italy. It was a festival. And we get up on stage kind of similar to this. We're kind of close to the edge. So imagine like this is just full of people here. And there's this girl that has this like really serious expression, just staring at Drew and I, not having any fun. And it was like kind of disconcerting because everyone else is around and you kind of can't stop looking at her. And about like 15 minutes into the show, she pulls out a pair of scissors, a buzzer, and starts shaving her head, staring at us. And then she kind of like takes it and like smears it around on the stage, and then starts putting it in her mouth. And we're just like, is anyone else seeing this? It's just like we're the only two up here that can have the advantage of this happening. And then she just kind of disappears in the crowd, and we never saw her again.
Wow.
So 2 things about that story. One, he told that story to Larry King. Second of all, it's completely made up.
So, of all the experiences and of when you think of your music career, I'm interested in 2 things. The thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. What's the most thrilling moment in your careers to date as artists and musicians, and what is the agony of defeat moment? What are those 2 tentpole moments that
I'll take the first part. You can take the worst. You can take the worst one.
Thanks, man.
So I mean, I think like we've been, really thoughtful about how we measure our success, and to us, we measure success in small amounts of progress. So, I think that really allowed us to keep our eye on like the objective of just kind of working hard and making the most of all the little moments that kind of all got us to where we are now, sitting on stage with you. So for us, like when you're starting out and you have like 100 fans, and then you wake up the next day and you have 120 fans, that was significant progress to us heading in the right direction. So obviously there were like incredible achievements, like, playing Coachella, winning a Grammy, having couple of songs go diamond. But I feel like for those are the moments we like often don't take in. We kind of just keep pushing forward. And so for us, it's always been like a healthy way of, instead of saying like, why am I not up at the top yet? It was always just like, well, I'm a little higher than I was yesterday. And I think, like, you know, back to the days when we were hustling remixes on Hype Machine, you know, just getting a few more plays, getting a few more shares from a different blog, you know, having, you know, charting a little higher the next day, next time, all like really made you feel good. And I think
But
that's
is
something.
there a moment like when you're in front of 100,000 people and everybody is singing,
Yes.
you know, a song with you, and you just like go, it's them. You could never have imagined that moment. It's just like a magical
Lollapalooza 2015.
Right.
We had gone to Europe, and you know, when you start off touring in the U.S., you build a little fan base, and then you go to Europe and you basically start over. So we had just done that Europe phase, which was pretty grueling and didn't feel very great about ourselves. And then came back and you know, we got the slot on Lollapalooza. We were supposed to play at like 2 p.m., but every Lollapalooza one day gets rained out. Our set got pushed to a sunset, like the big rainstorm gets pushed to like a 6 p.m. slot. And we played the song Roses that we had put out probably 3 months before that. And we had no idea how big it had gotten in the States since we had been in Europe. And I remember we dropped it, da 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 da. This fire came up. It was crazy. It was like everyone came in from the rainstorm. There were like, you know, 25,000 more people than should have been at our stage. And I remember just being like, this is the moment right here. And that song ended up being the first song in a run of really successful music for us.
Fantastic. What's the one you want to forget and can't?
It's not press related. I would say, I mean, the first, I feel like our entire career has been like a roller coaster, and I'm really, you know, I think the thing I'm most proud of about what we've built with Chainsmokers is the team, both on the music side and on the Mantis side, and the other businesses that we run, because those are the moments where you really need people to push you through them. And I think the first big challenge for us was, you know, this song Selfie that Jeffrey referred to earlier was this viral song that sounded like no other song that we had made before. We simply made it as a joke for our fans to promote a club night we were doing. This song quickly got bigger than us. You know, we thought we had this cool, credible indie, you know, electronic fan base that we now made this kind of joke dance song about that was a parody. But it got so big people forgot, you know, about everything else. And I remember we got, but it was very tempting because we got, you know, we got signed to Universal. We got our first, you know, $1 million. We got like, you know, a publishing deal, all the things that you want as an artist. And so it's like, do we embrace this thing and accept that it's just not who we are, and then just try and, you know, prove to everybody with the real music that we want to make, which is what we ultimately decided. But a couple months after that, I think when the label we signed to realized that we weren't going to keep making selfies, they dropped us. And we were going in for a meeting that we thought we were going to, make a whole, career plan with them. And they were like, actually, there's nothing. We're good on you guys. And I remember.
So you got fired.
We got fired. We got fired. And I remember.
What year was it?
2014 or 15.
Yeah, I think 14.
And I remember, and this is kind of funny, I don't know if we ever talked about this, but we went and we met Rick Rubin, which was a huge honor for us, and he's just an absolute legend. And, I remember us explaining the situation to him, and him telling us that we should probably start over. Like back to the name thing, like change our name and everything. And I was like, no, Rick, this is not the,
all right,
idol of ours.
All right, so everyone, when you think about success, what's more important, hustle or talent?
I would say hustle.
Yeah.
If you really statistically look at how impossible it is to make it in the music business, my lawyer said there's a better chance of him being in the NBA. I didn't actually check those numbers, so. Yeah, I mean, when you look at, there are 80,000 songs uploaded to Spotify a day. There's I feel like there's less. There's just so much content out there that's just happening all the time for no reason, for some reason, and there's just so much to pay attention to. And I think that if you have to wake up every day and think at what your angle is going to be, try stuff, have it not work. You have to accept defeat so frequently and still get up and do it.
Great. So let's move that over. So when you compare, creating and launching an album and a founder creating and launching a company.
Yeah, I mean, that's, sorry, go ahead.
Go, please.
No,
go.
please. After you.
You're on.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's what was kind of interesting to us as we got deeper into venture and had, more interesting conversations. And it was just clear that's kind of when we had the aha moment. We're like, wow, we kind of built our business a lot like a tech company. We growth hacked our first promotional platform. We have to build community. We have to find product market fit. We have to, come up with, go-to-market strategies and how we do things. And there's so many similarities between the two. I don't think they're, exactly the same in some capacities, but I think that's what also kind of drew us to the venture space to begin with, because it's so fascinating kind of going through the motions of doing stuff like that. And it's something that, we've gotten particularly good at, I think, and have, some real insight into how to, build that community and tell that story, because essentially that's all we're trying to do, no matter what your business is you're telling a story about something that, you think is important that someone else needs and will enjoy.
So, the brilliance of picking a name like Chainsmoker, sort of against the grain. Is there a pattern here that you picked Mantis? Isn't Mantis a creature that eats its mate?
Yeah, watch out. Yeah. The etymology of the word is Latin for soothsayer, someone who can see the future, a prophet.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to read between the lines.
Okay, cool. So you shared a quote when you started Mantis. So I wonder, it's the end of the days for VCs when the Chainsmokers start doing this.
We didn't say that. Someone else said that to someone we know.
Oh, and it became popular. Right, if these guys can do it, it's the end, right?
Yeah.
So how hard was it for you guys to get started? How did you get started? Where did the support come from? Where did the financial backing come from? All of that stuff.
Humility and being self-aware are two of our strengths. I think knowing what we don't know is a big part of, how we've gotten to where we are, and with the support of people around us and the relationships we built. And, I think early on we understood that, we were going to have to go out and prove to the world that, we were serious about this, and we respected the people that have come before us and the people that are doing it right now. And so, luckily COVID kind of helped us in some capacity, because we had endless amount of time now at home doing nothing. So, we spent probably about 2.5 years reaching out to anyone and everyone that would speak to us. And then every conversation generally led to 3 new conversations. And, the core of all those conversations was just, the respect we had for those people, really just asking questions about their experiences, things they wish they knew when they started. And I think through all those conversations, people began to take notice that, we were serious about this and we really cared. And, I understand that everyone has this kind of public persona or perception of just, their online personality. And, but we know who we are at our core. And, we understood that we had a lot of work to do to prove to people the types of, hustlers we were, and the type of impact we wanted to make on the space through our vehicle. And, that was some of, my favorite years, having those opportunities to speak to people and learn and listen.
Was it the tech that interested you? Was it the characteristics of the people, of the entrepreneurs? What was it that made that lane the one that you got excited about?
We had a few experiences in probably 2015 or 16 as, Chainsmokers were becoming very popular. Through our residency in Vegas and through our shows, we had a lot of tech entrepreneurs coming to our shows. And we met some of the most impactful ones around that time. And we realized we just had more in common with them than most musicians. We thought the same way, same way we thought about Chainsmokers. We had a lot in common, the way they were building their businesses, and it was a whole new world. It was like a fountain of youth and like a wealth of information that we hadn't tapped into yet, and it was a scene that just really attracted us. So that was definitely the initial spark.
And what did they see in you guys, right? So I understand that's what interested you in sort of going out and exploring and meeting this, next generation of creators around tech. What did you have to offer them?
I mean, I think a number of things. I mean, I think what we do best is we acknowledge people, through a conversation with Jimmy Buffett we had a long time ago. He kind of broke down how he created his empire through, the relationships that he has with their fans at different stages in their career. Like he's building retirement homes for them now. And so, we thought long and hard about that. Like, what are the core principles of Chainsmokers, and it's really the power of acknowledging people and building those relationships up and connecting. And so for us, we're very hands-on listeners and hustlers. So we felt like, we've built a global business. We can understand how at the early stages really help a company refine their vision and help them build relationships with design partners or bigger enterprise customers and really get our hands dirty. And I think, when you're building something early on, you want that support, that hands-on feeling. And, the purpose of Mantis isn't necessarily right now to replace, the incredible institutional investors that exist out there and have been around for a while, but we want to be their Robin to their Batman. And we think there's a way that we can kind of partner with everybody in the space and be that really, and provide, our founders that holistic support they need. And we really care, and we're hustlers. And I think, it's inspiring to work alongside people that share that same energy. And, we're constantly working on ourselves. And I feel like it takes a really special type of human being to be successful in this world, level of grit and determination, and something that's continually fueled us. And we want to invest in people like that. And, and that's really exciting.
So great. So how come you've stayed away from music and the sort of larger ecosystem as a place to invest? Obviously a world inside and out. Why have you sort of stayed away from that?
Yeah, I mean, the music industry, first of all, is a really tough nut to crack. We also know it just way too well. We're way too we're very too cynical about the way things operate. And I think venture favors a certain level of optimism that's really hard for us to have with the music industry. So it's just, we're just really in the nitty grit of it, and we see, all of the deal. It's, it's an industry that's based off of, there's a lot of predatory deals, and there's a lot of, you just see the dynamic between artists and label, and you kind of see, as technology, especially social media, is giving a platform to a lot of artists, kind of a lot of the steps for the things that are needed for, artists to take the power back in their own hands is they're already kind of happening. So we haven't seen anything yet that's been, we felt is game changing.
How do you know when either an idea coming from an entrepreneur or a song you've created or someone else's is going to work or not going to work? Or do you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, because I feel like, we make a lot of music, and every time we make something, at least finish it, we're like, this is the best song ever. And you should believe that, it's your job to believe that. But I think the important part of that is, and that we learned this early on in our career, is that, it's important to put things out into the world and get feedback, honest feedback. We have a group of friends we play everything for. They say everything's the best song ever, and they're wrong most of the time. But, it's great to get their support and feel good about things. But I think, similar to products or services that you're building, it's important to get real life feedback out there and iterate on those things. And there's really just no substitute for that. And I understand, people are perfectionists and they really want to get something exactly right. And I think there's value in really pushing it as far as you can. But Drew will tell you, I think, the only two songs that you think you've ever fully finished are
Probably Don't Let Me Down.
Riptide, right? Yeah.
Riptide, yeah. The rest of them I could always keep working on. So luckily I have Alex to pull things away from me and be like, we have to get it out.
All right, so we have an audience here, mostly a mix of founders, entrepreneurs, and LPs. One great piece of advice for LPs. What would you say to them that you...
Are you legally allowed to say invest in Mantis?
I can.
I don't know what the SEC rules are. Yeah.
What would you give their advice in terms of dealing, today and looking at, GPs today and places to invest? What's your take?
Well, I think I guess this is a general thing, which is, again, we've talked a lot about relationships and the importance they played in our lives. And I think, the way we all treat each other and respond to emails and calls and feedback, I think for some reason in our culture, it's become an issue for people just to be straightforward and say no about things and give honest feedback and move on. And I think, we can all learn a lot from just having more honest conversations with each other, even if, you're not necessarily getting the responses you want. So,
okay.
And I know that's a big part of our ecosystem, which is, saying no or yes to people, basically. But everything comes around. And, we've learned that a lot, so.
Okay, so a piece of advice, Drew, for entrepreneurs, founders here today.
Yeah, I would say never forget what your core product is and what people love about that and make sure that every piece of innovation is derivative of that. I've seen a lot of friends of ours that have had really successful companies start to build like ancillary projects that don't really feed their core audience, that they're just making to compete with their competition. We do the same thing in songwriting, and you can never lose sight of what people love about you the most.
So it's obvious that the probably best path to becoming successful in VC is actually becoming successful in rock and roll first. Do you have any advice to us on that?
Becoming successful in rock and roll?
Yeah, what do you think I should do?
I'm so glad that we got successful 10 years ago, because if we had to start over now, I do not know how it would happen.
Our TikTok page is terrible.
Yeah. TikTok, yeah.
Not good at it.
Yeah.
Chainsmokers, thank you very much.
Thank you.